So right when I sat down, I thought, this is the perfect table. I mean, it's big, it's wood, it's sturdy, it's not shaky. The window is to the left so I can look outside and watch people walking by. To the right, I have a nice view of the coffee shop. I'm thinking this is the perfect day. My coffee was up ahead of me on the left. My laptop was right in front of me. And then in walks this tall dude. He's like 6'4", skinny guy, long, scraggly gray hair, wearing this long white robe and some sandals. His hair and his beard that are scraggly and gray and black look like he hasn't washed them in weeks. And at first I thought, some homeless guy's gonna come in and probably steal from the tip jar, or try and steal from the tip jar, and maybe go out and buy a bottle of whiskey, because that's what I would do if I was tall and skinny and had scraggly hair and I needed some money for whiskey. I'd steal it from the Starbucks tip jar. Anyhow, he doesn't do that. He walks right over to me. He like walks into the Starbucks and he looks directly at me like, phew. And I was like, what the hell? And he walked right at me. It was like maybe 3 or 4 paces between the front door and where I was sitting, because he had these long goddamn legs, and 3 paces for him is like 50 for a short guy like me. And he looks up to me, or he looks down at me, and I'm staring up into his eyes, and the first thing I thought of was, those eyes are incredibly mesmerizing. I can't stop looking at these eyes. The more I look into these eyes, the more I want to listen to whatever this guy is saying, no matter how crazy it sounds and how ridiculous it ends up being. So I stare at this guy, this Jesus-looking guy, wondering what he's going to say, and he says, I'm going to tell you how the world is ending as we speak. The end is not coming. The end is here. We're in the process of ending. And he tells me that all throughout human history, the collapses of society have taken decades to happen. Only that when we look back in history and we see these points in time, we imagine that these collapses of society happen very quickly, like within a week or a month. But he said our society is in the process of collapsing, and it's going to get worse and worse, and there's going to be gnashing of teeth, wailing of screams, the spilling of blood, the cutting of flesh. And my friends, when they went hunting, they always look for this big field around the outside of which they can lay down and wait for the birds to fly over this field. And so they're walking around this field looking for a good place to lay down where they could hide behind the hump, or hide behind some kind of a hump, so when the birds come flying in they don't see them. And they came across this metal doorway in the ground, and they opened up this metal doorway in the ground, and there was a ladder going down. And so they climbed down this ladder out of curiosity, because they did have their shotguns, and they figured if they found anything scary they'd just blast them away with their shotguns. So they climbed down this long metal ladder going down into the depths of the earth that were below this cornfield, and they found this factory underground. Not a factory, like a warehouse. And there's like these guys driving these forklifts around, loading pallets, taking pallets off of these warehouse shelves, these big cases of stuff, and loading them up and moving them around. And the guys driving the pallets around, the pallet trucks, the guys pushing the pallet trucks around, none of them had any eyes. It wasn't like they had their eyes surgically removed and replaced with tape or something. They had zero, they had no eyes. It was just skin, like they were born without eyes, like they'd lived their entire existence underground. A whole race of people born and lived and raised underground, evolved underground, and they were some kind of pallet driving race of people that were responsible for maintaining the order of the warehouse underneath the surface of the earth. Now, I never knew there was a warehouse beneath the surface of the earth, but as my friends kept looking through this warehouse, they found another hole. And they opened it up and they looked down the hole. They looked at each other and they said, no fucking way am I going down there. Because what they saw, what they heard, what they felt was something so deeply terrifying they could not describe it to me later on. So they went back up and they continued hunting. And the guy said that the collapse is going to continue for at least another 10, 15, 20 years as the economy continues to worsen, as jobs continue to disappear, as everything continues to become more and more expensive. People are going to continue to get angrier and angrier, and it's all going to end up in a final culmination of massive civil unrest like planet Earth has never seen. And it will be a bloodbath of epic and biblical proportions. So prepare yourself. And I looked up at him and I said, dude, that took a long time to tell me that. My coffee's cold. I'm gonna have to go buy a new one, which I did. And I sat back down and then I continued doing what I had intended to do in Starbucks.